Today marks the beginning of a very important journey, your journey to becoming a confident, professional, and gold standard chemistry teacher in Scotland. Before we dive into atoms, reactions, or how to teach them all, we first need to understand where you will be teaching. Because a great chemistry teacher is not just someone who knows chemistry. A great teacher knows the system, the values, the history, and the people they serve. In this first lecture, we will build that map together. We will explore the Scottish education system, from early years to higher education. PGDE Chemistry. Welcome to the Scottish education system. Dear PGDE Chemistry students, a very warm welcome to you all. Today marks the beginning of a very important journey, your journey to becoming a confident, professional, and gold standard chemistry teacher in Scotland. Before we dive into atoms, reactions, or how to teach them all, we first need to understand where you will be teaching. Because a great chemistry teacher is not just someone who knows chemistry. A great teacher knows the system, the values, the history, and the people they serve. In this first lecture, we will build that map together. We will explore the Scottish education system, from early years to higher education. We will look at the history that made Scotland one of the most educated nations in the world, from parish schools and the Enlightenment to curriculum for excellence. We will meet the key institutions that shape your work: the Scottish Government, Education Scotland, SECUA, GTCs, and local authorities. And most importantly, we will understand what makes Scottish education distinctive: its commitment to inclusion, equality, well-being, and the 4 capacities. By the end of today, you will not just know facts about the system. You will begin to see your own place in it. You are now part of a tradition that values breadth as well as depth, service to the whole community, and excellence in teaching. This chapter is the foundation. Every other chapter in this book, every lesson you plan, and every class you teach will build on the ideas we start here. So let's begin. Let's locate ourselves. Let's understand the landscape you're about to enter. Welcome to PGDE Chemistry. Welcome to Scottish education. Let's get started. Part 1. Foundations of Scottish Chemistry Teaching. The 6 chapters in this part build the professional foundations of Scottish chemistry teaching. They map the Scottish education system, describe the curriculum for excellence framework, walk through the senior phase qualifications, unpack the professional standards published by the General Teaching Council for Scotland, articulate the identity of the modern chemistry teacher, and establish the architecture of a well-planned lesson. Read these chapters in order. Every subsequent part of the book assumes the ideas developed here. Chapter 1. Welcome to PGDE Chemistry, the Scottish education system. Dear students, welcome. This is the beginning of a serious professional journey. Over the course of this book, we are going to walk together through everything you need to know to become a confident, well-prepared, gold-standard chemistry teacher in Scotland. Before we can discuss atoms, bonding, rates of reaction, or how to plan a lesson on the mole, we must first understand the world you are about to enter. That world is Scottish education. Today, in this first chapter, we build the map. We locate ourselves in the landscape. We meet the institutions, the frameworks, the history, and the values that shape everything that happens in a Scottish chemistry classroom. 1.1 Learning Outcomes. By the end of this chapter, you will be able to do 10 things. First, you will be able to describe the structure of the Scottish education system from early years through to higher education, including all the major stages and transitions. Second, you will understand the historical roots of Scottish education and know why Scotland has been described for centuries as one of the most educated nations in the world. Third, you will be able to explain what makes Scottish education distinctive when compared with England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Fourth, you will know the roles and responsibilities of the main institutions that govern Scottish education, including the Scottish Government, Education Scotland, the Scottish Qualifications Authority, the General Teaching Council for Scotland, and local authorities. Fifth, you will be able to describe the principles and structures of curriculum for excellence. Sixth, you will know the phases of the Scottish curriculum, the broad general education from ages 3 to 15, and the senior phase from 15 to 18. 7th, you will understand the values that underpin Scottish education, including inclusion, equality, well-being, and the 4 capacities. 8th, you will know the place of chemistry within the Scottish sciences and within the wider curriculum. 9th, you will understand the journey you are about to undertake as a professional graduate diploma in education student. 10th, you will leave this chapter with a clear sense of professional purpose and a foundation on which the rest of the book will build. Why this topic matters. Every teacher works within a system. That system shapes what you can do, what you must do, and what you are held accountable for. A teacher who does not understand the system in which they work is a teacher who will constantly be surprised, confused, or frustrated by decisions they do not understand. A teacher who understands the system deeply is a teacher who can navigate it wisely, contribute to it constructively, and use it to serve their pupils well. Scottish education is not just a smaller version of English education, nor is it a copy of any other system in the world. It has its own distinctive history, its own philosophical commitments, its own institutional structures, and its own qualifications framework. Coming to Scotland to teach without understanding these features would be like moving to a new country and refusing to learn the language. You might survive, but you would never thrive. The personal element cannot be overlooked either. You've decided to pursue a career as a chemistry teacher in Scotland. You have invested 1 year of your life in a PGDE course. You will be evaluated against Scottish professional criteria. You will teach the Scottish curriculum. You will educate students for Scottish exams. You will register yourself with a Scottish professional body. Each and every aspect of your professional life, from your very first lesson to your final retirement, will depend on the Scottish system. Knowledge about the Scottish system thus becomes fundamental, rather than a mere contextual element. 1.3%. A brief history of Scottish education. Scotland has one of the oldest and most distinguished educational traditions in the world. To understand where we are now, we must know where we came from. 1.3.1. The medieval foundations. The story of Scottish education begins in the medieval period. The ancient universities of Scotland, St Andrews, founded 1413, Glasgow, 1451, Aberdeen, 1495, Aberdeen, 1495. Scotland had 4 universities at a time when England had only 2. This early institutional strength shaped Scottish culture in profound ways. Scottish percent. The Reformation. Even more importantly, the Scottish Reformation of 1560 produced one of the most ambitious educational visions in European history. The reformer John Knox proposed that there should be a school in every parish of Scotland, so that every child, regardless of social class, could learn to read the Bible in their own language. This vision, articulated in the first book of discipline, was never fully realized in the 16th century, but it planted the seed of universal education in Scottish culture. By the 18th century, Scotland had achieved something remarkable. It had one of the highest literacy rates in Europe. Parish schools had become widespread. Ordinary people, even in remote Highland communities, could read and write. This literacy fueled the Scottish Enlightenment, the extraordinary flowering of philosophy, science, and literature in the late 18th century that produced David Hume, Adam Smith, Joseph Black, James Hutton, and many others. 1.3.3. The 19th century. Systematization and reform. The 19th century saw the systematization of Scottish education. The Education Scotland Act 1872 established a national system of compulsory education for children aged 5 to 13, funded by local taxation. Scotland's education system was now organised on a national scale, with school boards in every parish and a state commitment to universal schooling. For every parish and 20th centuries, Scottish education developed its own distinctive character. It emphasised broad general education, especially at university level. Where English universities encouraged early specialisation, Scottish universities preserved the tradition of a broader first-year curriculum. This philosophical difference persists to this day. 1.3.4 The 20th century, universal secondary education. The 20th century saw major reforms. The school leaving age was raised progressively, to 14 in 1918, to 15 in 1947, and to 16 in 1972. Secondary education for all was established. The comprehensive school movement of the 1960s and 1970s ended the two-tier system that had separated grammar schools from junior secondary schools. The devolution of 1999 gave Scotland its own parliament and the power to make policy decisions concerning education. Since then, Scotland has become more inclined towards formulating policies based on its own needs rather than those of Westminster. 1.3.5 The 21st century, curriculum for excellence. The most significant reform of recent decades was the introduction of Curriculum for Excellence, CFE, from 2010 onwards. CFE replaced the old subject-based curricula with an integrated approach based on 4 capacities and cross-curricular themes. We will study CFE in detail in Chapter 2, but you should know from the start that CFE is now the defining framework of Scottish schooling, and everything you will teach fits within it. 1.3.6 The enduring character of Scottish education. The history matters because it has shaped the character of Scottish education. Scottish teachers in general take their profession seriously. Scottish schools are expected to serve the whole community, not just a privileged section. Scottish education places value on breadth as well as depth. Scottish qualifications are respected internationally. As you step into the chemistry classroom in Scotland, you step into a rich history that dates back to the parish schools of the 17th century, the Age of Enlightenment, and universal secondary education in the 20th century. This history is reflected in your professional responsibilities, your values, and the Scottish identity that you will develop as a teacher. 1.4 The structure of the Scottish education system. Let me now give you the full structural picture of the Scottish education system as it exists today. 1.4.1 Early years, ages 0 to 5. In Scotland, the education process of the children starts in early year care. Since the age of 2, children from disadvantaged families have the right to receive funded early learning and childcare, while, from the age of 3, all children have the right to receive 0,140 hours of funded early learning and childcare services per year. They are provided in public and private nurseries, at childminders' premises, or in family centres. The curriculum is based on the pre-birth to 3 document and the early phase of the Curriculum for Excellence. 1.4.2 Primary education, ages 5 to 12. Primary education in Scotland runs for 7 years, from Primary 1 to Primary 7. Children enter Primary 1 in the August, after their 5th birthday, or, in some cases, may defer entry by a year if their birthday is between certain months. Primary schools are almost universally comprehensive and non-selective. Class teachers deliver the whole curriculum to a single class. Class sizes are typically 25 to 30 pupils, though smaller in early primary and in remote or rural schools. The primary curriculum is shaped by Curriculum for Excellence and covers all areas of learning: literacy, numeracy, health and well-being, sciences, technologies, social studies, expressive arts, and religious and moral education. Sciences, including elementary chemistry ideas, are taught throughout primary, laying the foundation for secondary science. 1.4.3 Secondary education, ages 12 to 18. Secondary education in Scotland runs from Secondary 1, S1, to Secondary 6, S6. Pupils enter S1 in the August, after they complete Primary 7. Secondary schools are typically much larger than primary schools, with a total roll of between 400 and 1,500 pupils, sometimes larger in urban areas. The Scottish secondary school is organised into 2 major phases. From S1 to S3, roughly ages 12 to 15, pupils experience the final years of the Broad General Education, BGE. During BGE, pupils study a wide range of subjects, including all 3 sciences: biology, chemistry, and physics. chemistry may be taught as a distinct subject or integrated with the other sciences, depending on the school's approach. From S4 to S6, ages 15 to 18, pupils enter the senior phase. During the senior phase, pupils specialize more, choosing a smaller number of subjects to study in depth for national qualifications. This is where National 5, Higher, and Advanced Higher Chemistry are taught. Pupils may leave school at the end of S4, age 16, if they have completed the compulsory phase, though most now stay on. Increasingly, pupils remain in school through S5 and S6 to prepare for university or further study. 1.4.4 Post-school options. At the end of secondary school, pupils in Scotland have several options. They may enter higher education at one of Scotland's 15 universities. Scottish universities offer a range of programmes, from 4-year honours degrees to specialised courses. Scottish students studying at Scottish universities are entitled to tuition fees paid by the Scottish Government, a distinctive feature of the Scottish system. They may enter further education at one of Scotland's 26 colleges. Colleges offer a wide range of vocational and academic courses, including national certificates, higher national certificates, higher national diplomas, and other qualifications. They may enter modern apprenticeships, combining paid work with structured learning. They may enter direct employment, further training, or other pathways. 1.4 Adult learning. Scotland also has extensive provision for adult learning, including community-based courses, evening classes, distance learning, and formal adult education programs at colleges and universities. Learning is understood as a lifelong activity, not something confined to childhood and adolescence. 1.4.6 The whole picture. Taken together, the Scottish education system covers every stage of life, from early years to elderly learners. As a chemistry teacher, you will work primarily with pupils aged 12 to 18 in secondary schools, but you should understand your place in the wider system. The pupils you teach came from primary schools shaped by the same curriculum framework. They will go on to universities, colleges, workplaces, or apprenticeships that assume the qualifications you've prepared them for. You are one link in a long chain of learning. 1.5 The distinctive character of Scottish education. I have said several times that Scottish education is distinctive. Let me now say more precisely what that means. What makes Scottish education different from the English, Welsh, and Northern Irish systems, and from most systems in the world? 1.51 Comprehensive education. Scottish education is fundamentally comprehensive. Almost all secondary schools in Scotland are non-selective. There is no equivalent of the English grammar school system. There are a small number of independent, private schools, but these serve only about 4% of Scottish pupils. The vast majority of Scottish children attend the local comprehensive secondary school, regardless of academic ability or family income. 1.5.2 A curriculum built on values, not subjects. Breadth and depth form the basis of Scotland's educational system. The broad general education stage demands students to study all major subjects up to the age of 15 years. The senior stage gives room for more specialisation, however. Even at higher and advanced higher, the number of subjects taken by most students is usually between 5 and 6, as opposed to just 3 or 4. Curriculum for excellence is unusual internationally because it is built around 4 core capacities and cross-curricular themes, not just subject knowledge. The 4 capacities: successful learners, confident individuals, responsible citizens, and effective contributors, describe what education is trying to produce as human beings, not just as holders of qualifications. We will study the 4 capacities in detail in Chapter 2. 1.5.3 A committed public system. Education in Scotland is basically publicly provided. Almost all schools are publicly financed and administered through the local authorities. There are independent schools, although they are few in number and cater for a relatively insignificant number of students. Teachers work under nationally negotiated employment terms and contracts with the local authorities. Scottish teachers, as we will see in Chapter 4, are registered with an independent professional body, the General Teaching Council for Scotland, which sets and enforces professional standards. This professional regulation gives Scottish teaching a status comparable to that of medicine and law, and it distinguishes Scottish teachers from teachers in some other systems who work without such formal professional structures. 1.5.4 The ethos of inclusion. Scottish education places strong emphasis on inclusion, equality, and well-being. The Getting It Right for Every Child framework, which we will study in Chapter 5, embeds the principle that every child in Scotland is entitled to the same 8 indicators of well-being: safe, healthy, achieving, nurtured, active, respected, responsible, and included. This framework shapes not just individual pupil support but the whole ethos of Scottish schools. 1.5 The Scottish Qualifications Framework. Scottish qualifications are organised through a distinctive framework: the Scottish Credit and Qualifications Framework, SCQF, which places every qualification, from primary schooling through to doctoral study, on a single 12-level scale. This framework is more integrated than the qualification systems of most other countries, and it enables clear articulation between school qualifications, college qualifications, and university degrees. We will study the SCQF in detail in Chapter 3. 1.5.6 The Distinctive Sum. These features together produce a distinctive Scottish education system: comprehensive, values-driven, public, inclusive, professionally regulated, and integrated. Not every feature is unique to Scotland, but the combination is. When you teach chemistry in Scotland, you teach within this distinctive tradition. Your professional practice must reflect its values. 1.6 The institutions that govern Scottish education. Let me now introduce you to the main institutions you will need to know. These are the bodies that set policy, deliver services, and hold you accountable. 1.6.1 The Scottish Government. The Scottish Government is the executive branch of the Scottish Parliament, established by devolution in 1999. It has full responsibility for education policy in Scotland. The Cabinet Secretary for Education and Skills is the minister with lead responsibility, working with junior ministers and civil servants in the Learning Directorate. The Scottish Government sets the overall direction of policy, allocates funding, and produces guidance documents. 1.6.2 Education Scotland. Education Scotland is the official agency that is in charge of the development of education. There are various duties that this organisation has to perform. They include production of guidelines for curriculum for excellence, provision of school improvement services, conducting of school inspections, and publishing of research and reports on education. As a chemistry teacher, you will depend heavily on the work done by Education Scotland, especially the curriculums. Education Scotland was formed in 2011 by merging Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Education, HMI, with Learning and Teaching Scotland. The inspection function inherited from HMI remains a significant part of its role. 1.6.3 The Scottish Qualifications Authority. The Scottish Qualifications Authority, SQAA, is the national body responsible for accrediting and awarding qualifications in Scotland, from National 1 through to Advanced Higher and beyond. It sets course specifications, produces exam papers, marks scripts, and awards certificates. As a chemistry teacher, you will work extensively with the SQA National 5, Higher, and Advanced Higher Chemistry specifications. We will study SQA qualifications in detail in Chapter 3. SQA offers vocational qualifications like the National Certificates, Higher National Certificates, Higher National Diplomas, and the Scottish Vocational Qualifications. Apart from its schools, it is the accrediting body for many industrial qualifications in Scotland. 1.6.4 The General Teaching Council for Scotland. The General Teaching Council for Scotland, GTCS, is the independent professional regulatory body for teachers in Scotland. Established in 1965 and fully independent since 2012, the GTCS registers teachers, sets professional standards, accredits teacher education programs, operates the teacher induction scheme, and investigates concerns about teacher fitness to teach. You will register with the GTCs as a provisional member during or after your PGDE, and you will remain registered throughout your career. We will study the GTCs in detail in Chapter 4. 1.6.5 Local authorities. Scotland's 32 local authorities, also called councils, are the direct employers of the great majority of Scottish teachers, and they run the state schools in their areas. Each authority has its own education department, its own head of education, and its own approaches to curriculum implementation. As a teacher, you will be employed by a local authority. Your salary, working conditions, and professional obligations will be shaped by nationally negotiated contracts but administered locally. Some of Scotland's largest local authorities include Glasgow City, City of Edinburgh, Fife, North Lanarkshire, Highland, and South Lanarkshire. Others are smaller. Some are remote, such as Orkney, Shetland, and the Western Isles, and each has its own local context. 1.6.6 Universities and teacher education. Universities in Scotland are responsible for delivering initial teacher education. Not all Scottish universities offer teacher education, but several major providers do, including the universities of Glasgow, Edinburgh, Strathclyde, Aberdeen, Dundee, Stirling, and the west of Scotland. Your PGDE program is delivered by one of these universities. The program is accredited by the GTCs and must meet the standards it sets. 1.6.7 Other bodies. Other important bodies include the Scottish Schools Education Research Centre, SERC, which supports practical science teaching in schools. We studied SERC extensively in chapters 13 and 14 in the context of laboratory safety. The General Teaching Council for Scotland, which we have already mentioned, Colleges Scotland, the representative body for Scottish colleges, Universities Scotland, the representative body for Scottish universities, and various subject-specific organisations, such as the Royal Society of Chemistry and the Scottish branches of the science-related professional bodies. 1.7.1 The two phases. The Scottish curriculum for pupils aged 3 to 18 is divided into two phases. The Broad General Education, BGE, covers ages 3 to 15, spanning early years, primary, and the first 3 years of secondary school. During BGE, pupils experience a wide range of curriculum areas, developing knowledge, skills, and dispositions across the whole educational spectrum. Chemistry is part of the sciences curriculum area during BGE. The senior phase covers ages 15 to 18, spanning S4 to S6 in secondary school and equivalent stages elsewhere. During the senior phase, pupils prepare for national qualifications, specializing in a smaller number of subjects. Chemistry is a distinct subject with its own suite of qualifications: National 3, National 4, National 5, Higher, and Advanced Higher. 1.7% The Scottish curriculum. An introduction. We will study curriculum for excellence in detail in Chapter 2, but let me give you an overview here so that you understand the shape of the curriculum you will be teaching. 1.7.2 The four capacities. At the heart of curriculum for excellence are the four capacities. Every subject, every lesson, every activity is meant to contribute to developing these capacities in every pupil. Successful learners, pupils who are enthusiastic and motivated, who can think for themselves, and who make reasoned evaluations. Confident individuals, pupils who have self-respect, secure values and beliefs, and ambition. Responsible citizens, pupils who respect others, participate in political, economic, social and cultural life, and have an informed understanding of complex issues. Effective contributors, pupils who have enterprise and resilience, apply critical thinking, and work with others. These capacities are not a checklist. They are the enduring purposes of Scottish education, and every chemistry lesson you teach should serve them in some way. 1.7.3 Curriculum areas. The Scottish curriculum is organised into 8 curriculum areas: expressive arts, health and well-being, languages, mathematics, religious and moral education, sciences, social studies, technologies. Chemistry sits within the sciences curriculum area. But the 8 areas are not silos. Curriculum for Excellence explicitly promotes cross-curricular learning, and chemistry teachers are expected to connect their subject to literacy, numeracy, health and well-being, and other areas of the curriculum. 1.7.4 The Experiences and Outcomes. The BGE curriculum is expressed through statements called experiences and outcomes, usually shortened to ES and OS. Each E&O describes a piece of learning that pupils should experience and an outcome they should achieve. For sciences, the ES and OS cover topics such as planet Earth, forces, electricity and waves, biological systems, materials, and topical science. Chemistry ideas appear in the materials strand and in aspects of the planet Earth and biological systems strands. 1.7.5 The Senior Phase Course Specifications. The senior phase curriculum is defined by SQA course specifications for each qualification. The National 5 Chemistry Course Specification, the Higher Chemistry Course Specification, and the Advanced Higher Chemistry Course Specification each describe in detail the content and skills pupils must develop. We will engage with these specifications throughout parts 2, 3, and 4 of this book. 1.8 Chemistry within the Scottish curriculum. Let me now say a little about the specific place of chemistry within the Scottish system. 1.8.1 Chemistry in the BGE. During the broad general education, chemistry is taught as part of the sciences curriculum area. In primary schools, chemistry ideas are woven into topical science lessons, investigations of materials, states of matter, dissolving, and elementary reactions. In S1 to S3, chemistry may be taught as an integrated science alongside biology and physics, or as a distinct subject, depending on the school's approach. By the end of S3, pupils should have encountered the basic ideas of atoms, elements, compounds, mixtures, reactions, and materials. 1.8.2 Chemistry in the senior phase. In the senior phase, chemistry becomes a distinct subject with its own qualifications. National 4 Chemistry is available for pupils who need a more accessible pathway. It is internally assessed and does not include an external exam. National 5 Chemistry is the qualification most pupils take at the end of S4. It is externally examined and covers the full range of National 5 content that we studied in chapters 18, 19, and 20. Higher Chemistry is typically taken in S5. It is the qualification most commonly required for university chemistry-related courses. Advanced Higher Chemistry is taken in S6. It provides a bridge to university chemistry study and is required for some specialized university programs. Some schools also offer skills for work courses that include applied chemistry, providing a vocational route into laboratory work or the chemical industry. 1.8.3 The Continuum. The chemistry curriculum in Scotland forms a continuum from primary school ideas about materials to advanced higher study that approaches first-year university chemistry. Every stage builds on the previous. A pupil who studies chemistry from primary 1 through to advanced higher will have had 13 years of exposure to chemistry ideas of increasing sophistication. As a chemistry teacher, you are one contributor to that continuum. The pupils you teach came to you from previous teachers, and they will go on to further teachers or to further education. Your teaching should build on what came before and prepare pupils for what comes next. 1.9 Values in Scottish Education. Underneath the structures and institutions lies a set of values that shape Scottish education. Let me name the most important of these. 1.9.1 Inclusion. Education in Scotland operates on the basis of the belief that all children have the right to a comprehensive education. This right is enshrined in law, in policy, and in the very philosophy of schools. Under the Education, Additional Support for Learning, Scotland, Act 2004, there are certain duties that the local authority and teachers owe to students with additional needs. We examined differentiation and inclusion in Chapter 11. 1.9.2% Equality. There is an aim of equality in the Scottish education system. This does not imply that all students receive identical results, but rather that all students have identical rights and are equally respected. The Improving Gender Balance and Equalities Initiative, Widening Access Initiatives, and corporate parenting obligations to care experienced students all contribute to this idea of equality. 1.9.3 Wellbeing. The Scottish model of education emphasises the importance of child well-being as an integral part of its policies and practices. GERFEC is a well-being approach which involves Shinari well-being indicators, including safe, healthy, achieving, nurtured, active, respected, responsible, and included. they should be regarded as key elements of academic education. 1.9.4 Excellence. Asian in Scotland strives for excellence. Curriculum for excellence reflects that aspiration. The GTCS standards expect much from teachers. The SQA qualification system strives for results that will be recognized around the world. Excellence is not the antithesis of inclusion. The aspiration is for all children to do their very best, regardless of what that best might be. 1.9.5 Professionalism. Scottish teachers are professionals. They are registered in an independent professional association. They have a code of professional practice which they are supposed to adhere to. And finally, they are expected to continuously develop themselves professionally. Teaching in Scotland is a respectable profession, and therefore the demands placed on teachers are also very high. 1.9.6 The Rounded Learner. Underlying all of these values is a commitment to the rounded development of the learner. Scottish education is not narrowly instrumental. It is not concerned only with producing employees or with maximizing exam grades. It aspires to develop pupils as whole human beings, as thinkers, as citizens, as neighbours, as future contributors to their communities and to the wider world. 1.10 Your journey as a PGDE student. Let me now turn to your specific situation as a PGDE chemistry student. 1.10.1 The structure of the PGDE, the Professional Graduate Diploma in Education, PGDE, is Scotland's main route into teaching for graduates who already hold a degree in the subject they wish to teach. The PGDE secondary programme lasts one academic year, running from August or September through to June the following year. It is a demanding programme that combines university-based study with school-based placements. Your PGDE will typically include several placements in different schools. These are structured learning experiences under the supervision of a school mentor and a university tutor. You will observe experienced teachers, plan and teach lessons of your own, receive detailed feedback, and gradually take on more responsibility over the course of the year. By the end of the program, you should be teaching largely independently and demonstrating the professional competencies required for provisional registration. Alongside placements, you will attend university-based sessions covering pedagogy, subject-specific teaching methods, assessment, inclusion, professional identity, and educational research. You will produce a range of assessments, lesson plans, reflective essays, professional portfolios, and possibly a small research project. 1.10.2 The standards for provisional registration. The PGDE year is assessed against the standard for provisional registration set by the GTCs. This standard has three parts: professional values and personal commitment, professional knowledge and understanding, and professional skills and abilities. We will study the SPR in detail in Chapter 4. For now, know that this standard is the framework against which every observation of your teaching will be judged, and it is the standard you must meet to be recommended for provisional registration. 1.10.3 What happens after the PGDE? When you successfully complete the PGDE, your university will recommend you to the GTCS for provisional registration. You then move into the teacher induction scheme, which is a guaranteed one-year probationary post in a Scottish state school. During the induction year, you have a reduced teaching timetable, dedicated professional development time, and ongoing mentoring. At the end of the induction year, if you meet the standard for full registration, you become a fully registered Scottish teacher. After full registration, you can apply for permanent posts anywhere in Scotland, and your career unfolds from there. 1.10.4 The purpose of this book. This book is designed to support you through the PGDE year and beyond. Part 1 establishes the foundations of Scottish chemistry teaching, the system, the curriculum, the qualifications, the professional standards, your identity as a teacher, and the structure of a chemistry lesson. Part 2 develops the pedagogical craft you will need: cognitive science, models and analogies, misconceptions, questioning, differentiation, and assessment. Part 3 addresses the practical laboratory, safety, risk assessment, practical design, practical skills, and the catalogue of core Scottish school chemistry experiments. Part 4 provides content mastery for the National 5 syllabus, covering atomic structure, bonding and equations. This book is meant to be read, thought about, and referred to throughout your teaching career. It is not a substitute for real teaching, but rather it is the structure for your teaching practice. 1.11 What makes a great chemistry teacher? I want to close this first chapter by saying something about what makes a great chemistry teacher in the Scottish system. This is not a set of technical requirements. It is a description of professional character, and it is the ideal towards you should be working. 1.11.1 Deep subject knowledge. A great chemistry teacher knows chemistry deeply. Your undergraduate degree gave you the foundation. Throughout your career, you must continue to deepen and refresh your subject knowledge.
Read chemistry journals. Attend conferences. Engage with new discoveries. The chemistry world does not stand still. 1.11.2 Strong pedagogical skill. A great chemistry teacher has strong pedagogical skill. This includes the craft of lesson planning, the skill of clear explanation, the discipline of active questioning, the sensitivity of formative assessment, and the ability to adapt teaching to the pupils in front of you. Pedagogical skill develops over years of deliberate practice. 1.11.3 Genuine care for pupils. An excellent chemistry teacher is a person who truly loves their students. Not only that they love how well the students do in chemistry, but they also love them as individuals with hopes, dreams, fears, and successes. Those teachers that students never forget are those who treated them as humans and not containers for chemistry information. 1.11.4 Professional integrity. A great chemistry teacher has professional integrity. They are honest with pupils, colleagues, and parents. They fulfill their commitments. They uphold professional standards. They contribute to the profession as a whole, not just to their own classroom. 1.11.5 Continuous learning. A great chemistry teacher is a continuous learner. They read educational research. They try new approaches. They reflect on what worked and what did not. They seek feedback and act on it. They understand that no teacher, however experienced, ever fully arrives. There is always more to learn. 1.11.6 Contribution to the wider community. A great chemistry teacher makes more contributions than just teaching in their own classroom. They make contributions to their colleagues. They make contributions to trainee teachers. They make contributions to their departments, schools, and profession. Some of them become subject leaders, curriculum designers, or teacher trainers. All of them make contributions to the larger process of Scottish education. 1.11.7 The combination. None of these qualities alone is sufficient. Deep chemistry knowledge without care for pupils produces a cold expert. Care for pupils without pedagogical skill produces a well-meaning failure. Skill without integrity produces manipulation. Integrity without continuous learning produces stagnation. The great chemistry teacher combines all of these qualities, and does so over decades of professional life. You are at the beginning of that journey. Take it seriously. Give it everything you have. The pupils who will pass through your classrooms across the years of your career deserve nothing less. 1.12 Common misconceptions about Scottish education. Let me address a few common misconceptions that new PGDE students sometimes bring to Scottish education. The first misconception is that Scottish education is essentially the same as English education, with a few minor differences. It is not. The two systems have diverged significantly since devolution, and the differences are structural, philosophical, and practical. The second misconception is that curriculum for excellence is a piece of paperwork that can be ignored in practice. It is not. CFE is the framework within which every lesson, every assessment, and every professional judgment is made. The third misconception is that the SQA qualifications are what teaching is really about, and everything else is administrative background. Qualifications are important, but they are not the whole story. Scottish education aims at the rounded development of the learner, not just at exam grades. The fourth misconception is that the GTCS is a bureaucratic hurdle. It is not. It is the professional body that gives Scottish teachers their status and identity, and it will be part of your professional life for your entire career. The fifth misunderstanding is that teaching in a Scottish school consists of separate lessons, which can be planned separately from each other. That's not so. All lessons are embedded into a wider curriculum, into the particular school situation, into the community of professionals, into the overall system. The knowledge about the system will help you to teach your particular lesson. Alright everyone, that's it for Lecture 1, Foundations of Scottish Chemistry Teaching Graduation Cap. Today we built the map. We understood the Scottish education system, its history, its values, and where we as future chemistry teachers fit into it. In the next lecture *, we're going to break down curriculum for excellence, what it really means, the 4 capacities, and how it shapes every single chemistry lesson you'll teach in Scotland. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell * so you don't miss Lecture 2. Drop a comment below with one thing you learned today, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next lecture.